Hey everyone, Justin Maxwell here. Today I'm going to be breaking down the 10 things that I learned in 2023 that were either learned from me, learned anew, or just re-emphasized in a different way. Starting number one. Number one, the first thing that I learned in 2023 was that it's hard to differentiate poor from good and good from great in just marketing. Let me tell an experience. A lot of you, I could almost bet that if I say this, all of you were marketed the employee retention credit at some point during the last 3 years. How do you differentiate who is a good employee retention credit company and who's a bad employee retention credit company? Because unfortunately, there was a lot of bad apples in the employee retention credit space. Yet every company was stating the same things. All the marketing was saying $26,000 per employee, COVID credit, CARES Act credit, get money back, a grant, money you don't have to pay back. Like it was very, very similar amongst everyone. So how do you differentiate who's actually a good ERC company and who's a bad ERC company? Another example is in just the accounting space. All accountants say the exact same thing. I can save you money on taxes. We're going to proactively tax plan. We're tax strategists. We're tax planning. We do X, Y, Z. Yet, how do you differentiate a good accountant from a bad accountant? It's hard. I don't even have the answers for it when it comes to marketing alone. But here's what I think is a good potential solution on how you can start to identify if it's good or bad or not. So I think that if you're trying to be a world-class business, highest, best in class business, that you will sense when you're talking with someone that doesn't run or doesn't care about being best in class or is running a company that's either average or poor. Hard to differentiate. That's the one thing I learned. I don't have all the answers. Be aware that just because someone says they're good or says they're going to do X, Y, Z doesn't mean they're actually going to do it, because the data shows that a lot of ERC companies are really crappy. The data shows that a lot of financial planners are really average. The data shows that most accountants cause their clients to pay more taxes than is necessary. So just be aware that just because you thought this was going to happen doesn't mean it actually was going to happen within the company. And that was lesson number one that I learned in 2023. Lesson number two that I learned is, this comes from Chris Smith of Possibility. The impact you're making is not just about the person that you're right across the table from, because you're going to change their life in some way. If you're reaching for excellence and you're trying to strive to be the best you can in your field, be the best business owner and have the biggest impact on their life that you possibly can, it's not just the impact you're going to have on that person. It's the difference makes, because they're going to be different and then they're going to go change someone else's life because of your impact on them. So stop thinking about just the customers you're seeing or just the patients you're seeing. It's the impact that those patients are going to have on other people. And that's your impact on life. That's your impact on this world. And that's what allows you to make a generational impact in this world, because you're making a difference on the difference. The third thing that I learned in 2023 was that a lot of business owners are making generational income, but having middle-class results. For example, the average dentist who's a business owner, just average dentist, makes about $300,000 a year as a business owner. And I have many clients that make far, far more than that as business owners in the dental space. Is going to make probably right around $20 to $30 million over their career. That's generational wealth. Yet most dentists finish their careers with middle-class retirements or middle-class net worths, where they're having to drop below their lifestyle just to survive. Chiropractors and doctors and business owners around the country outside of dentistry are in the same situation. Far too many business owners make generational income with middle-class wealth. The reason that I see on my side is they're making all this wealth, but a lot of the wealth that they're making is disappearing without them even sensing or feeling it. Too much in taxes, too much in fees, not paying attention to their cash flow or how they pay off things. It's just happening by default or by hope versus deliberateness. The fourth thing that I learned in 2023 was that you can't be a performer and a critic simultaneously. In 2023, I chose to invest in myself by learning from the best in the public speaking arena. You see, I believe that if I'm going to be able to get the message that business owners make generational wealth and that they can create generational impact and that they can move beyond money and start looking at things that actually matter and start making the impact that they're destined to make and solve bigger problems and have a bigger vision, then I have to speak it. I have to create it. Nothing that's ever been created on this earth has ever not been spoken, has never not been created. It has to be created by someone. And so for me, in order for me to improve that, I had to get training, and I'm still in the process of that training. And so I went to Michael and Amy Port at Heroic Public Speaking. And one of their values, one of their key points is that you can't be a performer and a critic simultaneously. Let me give an example. So if I'm in an audience and I'm a speaker myself, and I'm listening to the speaker speak, and I'm criticizing everything they're doing. Oh, they didn't do that right. Or, oh, they're a little too quiet there. Or they didn't do this. Or they look a little funny right now. When you get on stage and you're in that same situation, those same critiques will come from your internal self, because that's your internal self criticizing yourself. And that will hold you back from leaving the message that needs to be heard to your audience. You will not have as powerful an impact on the audience if you're criticizing yourself when you're on stage. You have to go full out when you're on stage. You have to give yourself to the audience, and you have to give your message to the audience. And if you're criticizing yourself and you have those feelings inside of you, you're not going to do that. You cannot be a performer and a critic simultaneously. The fifth thing that I learned in 2023 is that collaborative teams are going to beat siloed teams every day. A collaborative team is where you have your accountant, your state attorney, your tax attorney, your financial advisor, your insurance advisor, your tax strategist, all in a collaborative group in agreement about what's best for you. Most of you have siloed teams where you have your accountant over here, your tax person over here, your insurance guy here, your registered investment advisor here, and they might have the same ideas, but oftentimes what we see is that everyone has different ideas, everyone's doing different stuff on their own, and they're conflicting. And even if you think of it or not, you have an internal conflict going on because you know that this person said to do this and this person said to do that. But because you trust this person a little bit more, you're going to do this and you're going to only do X, Y, Z with them when you should have done A, B, C, D, and X, Y, Z. And so you have to have a collaborative team to get the best results. The sixth thing that I learned in 2023 was that too many people allow their finances to be the excuse for not pushing into their vision and impact on this earth. They will hold back from what they truly want to accomplish because they blame their finances. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the amount of people that make generational wealth, but have middle-class results, is people are making all this wealth. They have the ability to make a far bigger impact on this earth than they could, but because they're seeing and feeling the middle class results, they view themselves as middle class and they view their ideas as middle class, and it keeps people trapped in the middle class mindset when they should be pushing into how many people can I help? How far can I go with this? And how big of a vision can I have? Don't allow your finances to be the excuse for you not pushing into your impact. The seventh thing that I learned in 2023 was that you have to deliberately do everything that you want to succeed. Nothing can be done by, I hope it's going to work, or I'm just going to put this in on default and just let it go or let it ride, and hopefully it'll spit out the results. So let me give some examples. Oftentimes people, when it comes to their families, aren't super deliberate about making time for them, specifically business owners. They get too obsessed with the next income, the next dollar, the time they spend in the office is money. And so they put their family on hold and they hope their family will work out for them. But then when they get to the end, their family's falling apart. If you want a powerful family, you have to deliberately be a powerful family. You have to set aside the time deliberately. You have to set aside the resources deliberately. You have to spend time with each child deliberately. You have to spend time with your spouse deliberately. If you want to have good health, you have to deliberately approach your health. It's not just going to happen where you're also going to be ripped and strong and healthy. You have to deliberately approach it. If you want to have great generational wealth and generational income, you have to deliberately approach it. You can't just be set it and forget it. You can't just be hoping that this is going to work. Make sure you know it's going to work or have the highest probability of working. Deliberately do everything that you. Here's an example for family that I thought was valuable. I go to a lot of events, and so I choose to bring my family to those events with me so that they're coming. We will, they know that I'm working those days, but then we stay a few days extra. We go explore, we go to national parks. I'm deliberately trying to make my family a part of my work instead of saying work, family. It's integrated into one and it's deliberately done. Consider doing that. The eighth thing that I learned in 2023 is that cash flow systems are essential. If you're doing things manually or just doing things off of what's left over or just hoping that it's going to have enough, you're going to fall short. You have to have an automated structural system within your cash flow that drives every dollar that you make. So when money flows into your life, it's already going to go to it. It's assigned job. It does it without you having to do a thing. Cash flow systems are essential. The ninth thing that I learned in 2023 is that whole life insurance is the protector of your wealth. Far too many people, both people that sell life insurance and people that hate life insurance, will point to things and say things like, whole life insurance is what creates your wealth, or the Rockefellers created their wealth with life insurance. When in reality, that's not true. Wealth is created by you as the individual, but whole life insurance specifically protects your wealth. And far too many people are going to misunderstand it when I say protects your wealth. They're going to think I mean just when you die, or if you happen to die early, it protects your income. It allows it to go to your heirs income tax free, which is true, but it protects it far more than that. It protects your wealth while you're working because it gives you liquidity. It gives you access to cash. It gives you staying power in rough economies. It gives you the ability to act on opportunities. It protects your ability to continue building wealth outside of yourself. And then it also protects it on when you're at the end of your career and you're starting to live off of your assets and you're not working as much and you need your assets to produce, your assets will be able to produce far more wealth, far more income for you if you have whole life insurance than if you don't. Whole life insurance protects your wealth. The 10th thing that I learned is that distribution planning is just as important as accumulation planning. Distribution planning is the use of your assets. So once you've gotten to the point where you're choosing to stop working and you're saying, I don't want to work anymore, I'm going to step away from my business, that's you choosing to distribute your wealth. How you distribute that and how you cash flow all of your assets and how you get your assets to pay you on a monthly basis is an essential part of the whole plan. Far too many people are so focused on building up this massive net worth without learning how to distribute and take cash flow off of it, that they end up with no planning, are going to end up in a situation where they're stuck between a few options and they don't have the ability to cash flow very effectively, which means that you leave money on the table. You could have lived off of $50,000 more a month or a year, whatever it can be quite large because you didn't plan versus because you did plan, you have an extra $50,000 a year that's yours because you chose the distribution plan. You have to do both simultaneously while you're working, not at the end. They're simultaneous and they're interconnected. Those are the 10 things that I learned in 2023 that I think are valuable for business owners around the country. I hope you found them valuable. If you found any of these really helpful, please comment below and let me know which ones. If you disagree with me on any of these things, please let me know and we'll have a discussion and see if we can't come to the truth. I'm Justin Maxwell and look forward to a great 2023.